Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to Unfair Sports, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. I'm your host, Jay, with your favorite co-host, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching us here on the YouTubes, as well as listening to us wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. While you're there, do all the good stuff. Rate, review us, and give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Meh. Just give us 5 anyway.
Gifted.
All right, so on today's episode, we are going to dive into the Sunday Night Thriller featuring Action Jackson. Field goals by the Cowboys. Jimmy's going to hit us with some word as we resurrect that game. And Sooners, or later, we're going to see some issues. Just FYI. Hit us up on the Unfair Fan Line, 430-901-1906, and let us know what you think of the show. Give us your strongest opinions, as well as tell Jimmy how wrong he is and how right I am, or vice versa. Tell him how right he is and how wrong I am.
Yeah,
it
do
doesn't
that.
matter.
Do that.
Do whatever you feel like. So hit us up, 430-901-1906.
Jam Master. Jay ain't got no job. What's going on?
What it do, baby?
That was not working today.
Not working. Jimmy, you're Tommy. You don't have a job.
My name's not Tommy.
All
got a job. Everybody has seen me. Some people have seen me at my job.
There it goes. Some people
that can verify that I work, and I work very hard.
Can you throw some people? Never mind. Yeah. Sure. So besides that part, as we argue through this, what's good, man? It was a thrilling weekend.
It was fun. Lots of fun to be had today. Lots to talk about.
Yeah.
Lots of questions.
Lots of disappointment this weekend as well. Let me first start off with your text message you sent me on Sunday.
Yeah.
I know you don't recall it because I can see it on your face right now. But yeah, you did. You sent a lot of hate mail. Outside of that,
yes.
Sent me the text message about my fantasy roster. I made a massive mistake. So first off, check out the OSG report. I actually made a lot of money this weekend. I tripled up on what I put in. So nice. I'm slowly building my bankroll to where I can go for that millions. Check out the OSG report. We drop it every Saturday. Tristan writes it up, the OSG, and then we record and talk about some of our plays and not plays. And we drop that on typically Fridays.
Where can they read the OSG report?
You can read the OSG report at our Medium page, medium.com/unfair. You'll see it right there on the feature page every Saturday once it's available, or just follow us on Twitter at Unfair Sports. You'll definitely find it there. But I made the mistake of not playing Kyler Murray this week because I played him last week because Dak went off last week, and I played Dak this week thinking this was going to be a shootout. And guess what? We'll talk about that game in more detail. So I made massive mistakes. I showed that I was not ABCing. I was not always be closing like I should have. Should have closed this out, but I didn't play the players I should have. And I also did not show that I was packing ready to win this bad boy. So,
the good thing about fantasy is that if you go around 0-2, it's not a death sentence like it is in the NFL, where that gives you about an 11 to 12% chance of actually making it to the playoffs, which means you're not going to make it to the playoffs. So you're good. You're good.
Yeah, I mean, my roster is pretty stacked, to be absolutely honest, so I'm good. And then, thinking about how crazy the weekend was, we've got the deal with Nicki Minaj's cousin's, uncle's, nephew's friend with the swollen balls and everything.
Don't want to know.
So,
don't want to know.
Well, you need to hear about this because we're about to dive right into somebody with some really big balls this week, which is our boys over there with the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens showing off their brass balls. And
I didn't think we were going in
this direction because Ravens actually beat the Chiefs on Sunday night. Score 36-35 on the last play of the game. Basically the last possession at 4th down. And one, John Harbaugh looked across the field and yelled, Lamar, you want to go for it? You want to go for Lamar? You want to go for it?
Same play.
Yep, exactly. Basically what it felt like. No, but he asked Lamar if he wanted to go for it, and they went for it, and Lamar got the first down once again. So, Jimmy, I asked you this question. This is the first win by the Ravens for Lamar Jackson against the Chiefs because he was 0-3. He considered them his kryptonite. Do you feel like, is it fair to say that Lamar has quieted his doubters?
this, a lot of things that we talk about on the show goes back to movie quotes for me to illustrate my thought processes with certain things. And this is no different. It kind of depends on what the critics wanted from Lamar. If they wanted him to win the game and that's enough, or if they wanted him to truly beat Patrick Mahomes. So Rocky 2, right? The movie after, Rocky, Rocky 1, he fights Apollo Creed, he barely loses. And then they set up a rematch. And the one who wanted this rematch the most was Apollo Creed because he's sitting in his office. Again, he's like the Muhammad Ali of his time in the film, right? All the money, all the belts, everything. But he just was uncomfortable with how he beat Rocky. So he's talking to his manager and trainer, Duke, and he's saying, trying to explain to him, Duke is saying, you don't need this fight. You don't need to face this guy again. He's made of iron. You already beat him. Move on from him. He says, no, I won, but I didn't beat him. And what he meant was, yes, at the end of the fight, via the scorecards, he won the fight, but he didn't beat him convincingly to silence any critics. So it's the exact same way in this game. Now, Lamar, despite his mistakes, I think he played a really good game. Very rarely do you see a quarterback literally put the team on his back and carry them with his legs and not his arm, which I've maybe only seen one or two performances like that. The Kaepernick playoff game against the Packers where he had 181 rushing yards comes to mind. This was similar to that. But
Michael Vick's entire career.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So they won the game, right? 36-35, which was, that's good for the Ravens because they hadn't done that before. And you could tell how they were celebrating. They were celebrating like they just won the division. Yeah. Right?
I actually like the Super Bowl because this is a big one. This
Super Bowl, fine. The Super Bowl, right? But if it weren't for the fact that Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled the bag completely, there's not a person in the stadium, not a person in Baltimore, not a person watching nationally or internationally who doesn't believe that Patrick Mahomes was going to drive them down the field, chew the clock, hit a last-second field goal, and win by 2. That's exactly what everybody thought was going to happen. And it would have happened if Clyde Edwards hadn't chosen the absolute wrong time to not have ball security. Yeah. So in this game, yes, Lamar won, and that was silence some of the critics, but I don't think it was silence most of them because he didn't truly beat Patrick Mahomes convincingly, and that's what you have to be able to do in order to swing the tide in your favor.
I get that. I'm opposite. I do think that Lamar, I don't think he quieted the doubters. I do think he pacified them because he was able to come up in the most critical moments of the game, the most clutch moments of the game, and he was able to lead his team down the field and score. Those last 2 drives that they got, where he got them touchdowns and he did the cartwheel or whatnot, those were big. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. He was able to, like you said, he put the team on his back and carried them to this victory. And at the same time, if you look at it, he was able to make some good passes. That pass mark to Hollywood leading up the field for that 42-yard touchdown, that kind of got some of the juices flowing for not only the team, but it also made Kansas City think, shoot, we can't just stack the box. We got to watch out for passes now. Because they were thinking the entire time with the Honey Badger initial interception and then the second interception he got right afterwards, they're like, they're done passing. They're going to run the ball. Eventually, we can stack the block and we can get them. But it also showed one of the biggest flaws in this Chiefs defense. They cannot stop the run. They're really bad at that. And for me, that becomes a concern. So I'm trying to figure out if we found the Chiefs' kryptonite. Even though I don't know if it really is, but the Steelers, Najee Harris is okay at the run. If Big Ben can actually do his portion of it, the Ravens got a run game. The Titans have a run game. I'm looking at this AFC and the teams that may come out. Buffalo, Josh Allen, and you add in when Moss is actually playing good, they've got a run game. This kind of exposed a little bit more to me of Kansas City's issues, even though they have the great eraser with Patrick Mahomes. If you're running the ball most of the game and you're chewing up clock, what's Mahomes doing? Sitting on the sidelines watching you perform.
But see, I think that what Kansas City has historically shown over these last 3 seasons is that even like early in the season, the Chiefs defense, they look leaky. They look like there are aspects of the defense that you can expose. But it's something about them later in the season and in the playoffs. These types of things don't happen. Had this been a playoff game, I don't think that Baltimore would have been able to move the ball on the run like they were able to do.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that mainly because we saw Tampa Bay do that to them in the Super Bowl. I believe wholeheartedly this is the one thing that I've always said about the Chiefs defense. They can take more risk because they have the great eraser on the opposite side of the field. So they can jump passes and get burnt 54, 50, 60-yard touchdown. They're cool with that. Why? Because Pat Mahomes is going to come back out there. He's going to do the exact same thing with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. The way Kelsey was out there running like he's a freaking slot receiver.
Right.
You can do that you have the opportunity to do that. But the problem is when a team is truly run heavy, them chewing the clock up takes Mahomes off the field. Like you said, the best way to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs is to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines. And if a team can run well enough to get down to the goal line and score on a regular basis, Kansas City may be able to score fast, but that other team is going to be eating up that clock.
But I think few teams can do what Baltimore was able to do because they're still, like last season, they were the number one rushing team and the team with like the fewest amount of passing yards per game. So a team cannot look at Baltimore and say we can do that, but your scheme isn't designed the way Baltimore's run scheme is. No, and
I have
Lamar
five
Jackson,
teams.
Who can run like that?
Yes.
No.
I have 5 teams that have the capabilities. I have 4 with one as a
personnel
potential.
is one thing because anybody could say, okay, you have Derrick Henry, this all-world running back, he can do it. But that's not their scheme. That's not their scheme.
No. Their whole scheme is to run the ball with Derrick Henry and then go
to the
play
capabilities
action.
of Baltimore.
Yeah, they hand the ball to Derrick Henry.
Part of what makes Baltimore's run game so prolific is you have a Lamar Jackson. Ryan Tannehill is not going to fit the Lamar Jackson role in their run scheme.
Well, that's the thing about
part of what makes it so deadly.
It's mainly because Derrick Henry can just run over everybody. You don't really need that.
He couldn't last week. He did yesterday, but he couldn't last week.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He did last week against Seattle, which to me has a leaky defense
the week
like the
before
Chiefs.
that. But he didn't the week before that.
It was because the Cardinals played their defense differently. I get that. I don't think the Chiefs can do what the Cardinals did. I don't think the Chiefs have the pass rush that the Cardinals have. In my personal opinion, I think the Chiefs' pass rush is good. I don't think it's Chandler Jones and the way they do things in Arizona. I think that Tennessee has a chance if they can scheme it up properly. They can do it. Baltimore, of course. Now, the one thing about Baltimore, too, is we got to give them mad props for that offensive line is ridiculous. They got 3 new running backs out there, and they all ate in that game. Yeah. From Latavius Murray to Tyshawn Williams and Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman, actually, all of them in a way ate. But going down that list, so Tennessee, I think Tennessee can be a problem for them. I think that Buffalo, Baltimore, the Browns, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they ran all over them. You know the problem that the Browns had?
What?
Is they kept trying to pass with Baker Mayfield, so they just handed the ball to Chubb. If they would have kept running that game, I think they would have won.
I see what you're saying because you have these teams and they have the capabilities to do this. Nick Chubb, all-world running back. Derrick Henry, like I mentioned, all-world running back. But there's something specific about the design of Baltimore's run scheme that no other team is running and no other team has Lamar Jackson. Now, you can be successful at times with the run, but this isn't the first time a team has tried to run the ball down the Chiefs' throat and came up on the losing side of the game. Matter of fact, Baltimore should not have won this game. Again, if Clyde Edwards had not fumbled the bag, they would not have won this game. They should not have won this game.
Baltimore should have won this game earlier in the game if they would have just focused on running the ball nonstop down their throat and just ending the game at that point. That was one of the biggest complaints is that they had a possession that they threw the ball like 3 or 4 straight times. And it was like, why are you throwing the ball this much? You're literally running it down their throat and the Chiefs can't handle it. And keep running it. They stopped doing it. I think they would have took the lead earlier. And I think they would have probably won by maybe a touchdown if they would have just kept running it down their throat. I know it's a struggle to think about it.
I don't think it's going to work.
Well, and I'll put it like this. We'll be finding out come the playoffs. So we do this every Monday as we prepare here on Unfair Sports. We're going to slap every single one of y'all with the news.
And now Jimmy has the news.
Every single news segment. Why does it do this? You just erases the news. Thank you, Wendy. Just erases the news. All right. We're eyeballing it. All right. So Carson Wentz, after the game yesterday, 27-24, a tough loss to the Rams at home, found a way to sprain both of his ankles, as you so graciously pointed out to us today. This was, I believe, on a tackle with Aaron Donald, if I'm correct.
Oh, my God.
And I saw one of them get sprained. I didn't see what happened to the other. My vision was obscured. But apparently, Jay, he found a way to do the impossible, which is to sprain both ankles.
So I think I remember the play. I may be completely off, but I recall when he got hit I think it was Aaron Donald was laying on both of his legs at the same time, and he just fell over to the side, and he was basically hurt at that point. Damn, you guys some bad. Your body hates you if you sprain both your ankles, or he went out there and played on a sprained ankle and just injured the other. That makes no sense.
This is a bit unfair to Carson Wentz. I mean, in fact, you're being tackled by one of the greatest defensive players ever, and when you notice some of the greatest defensive players we've had, they do tend to hurt people. Like Lawrence Taylor, he hurt a lot of people. Ronnie Lott hurt a lot of people, hurt himself, didn't care. He would still hurt other people. Ray Lewis hurt a lot of running backs. So Aaron Donald is no exception. When you're that big, that strong, that physical, and that great, people are going to get hurt. It just sucks when you have an injury-prone player like Carson Wentz, where it's sooner rather than later facing this guy that you're going to get hurt, and he did. Hopefully he gets back soon. All right, so up next, fans of the NBA Jump. I know you were a big fan of the show. ESPN announced that Malika Andrews, one of their, you could say up-and-coming stars, but essentially now is a star, is going to replace Rachel Nichols as the host of ESPN's The Jump. With the NBA season less than a month away, she will take over and essentially be the cornerstone of the show.
Yeah, they actually have a new show. It's going to be called NBA Today or something like that. It's going to be the new name of it. But yeah, that'll be coming this NBA season. I'm pretty amped to see. Pretty stoked to see what Malika can do.
Now, is Rachel Nichols no longer with ESPN, or is she hosting a different show?
That I've seen that they're going to finish out her contract, but she will not be showing up on any type of platform whatsoever.
See, and part of why that sucks is that, you know, despite the issues that led to this happening, and I've never been the biggest Rachel Nichols fan, she was a huge part of what made the jump. Oh,
no, she was the jump.
She was the jump, right?
Which is why they're going to rename it, rebrand, and start from scratch.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of got to move on from that.
Yeah, I guess so. So that's sad to see, but I think Malika's going to do a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Lastly, going back to injured quarterbacks, the Bears, whose starting quarterback, Andy Dalton, was injured in their matchup against the Bengals. They say that he will remain the starter if healthy. As you know, Justin Fields came in for him. I believe went 6 for 13. Had some passing yards. I don't think he threw for a touchdown, but they said that if the Red Rifle is able to come back, he will be back and be the starter.
Yeah,
I agree. Justin Fields did not look ready to play. He did not look ready to play in this game.
He's never going to look ready to play. Put him out there on the field until he gets ready. You've got a team good enough to be able to get close to sniffing the playoffs. You may as well get him out there and let him take his stripes now. I prefer a rookie take their stripes now, especially if you know you're going to hand the keys over. Hand the keys over right now. It's not like this team is actually – this team isn't even built to go to the playoffs yet. It's built to get to the cuffs. But go ahead and just throw him out there just like they're doing Trevor Lawrence. Let him get his interceptions out of his system. Let him understand that those college throws you can't make in the NFL anymore. That way, when he sees his true limitations against actual team scheming against him, he'll be able to, all right, time to change my mindset.
Yeah, I'm going to get my boy killed. That's it. Snooze. All right, I can start it over.
That was Jimmy with the news.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, it's one of them days.
All right, so Jay, sticking with the NFL, there was another big-time football game in the NFL week 2. Involved the Cowboys, which any game that the Cowboys play, doesn't matter. It could be the Cowboys versus the Jags, is going to be one of the matchups over the weekend that's going to give us something interesting, something entertaining. People are going to care about it because of how big the brand is. So they were in L.A. to face the Chargers at SoFi Stadium, which I believe is the first time that the Chargers have played a quote-unquote home game with actual fans.
Yeah, outside of the preseason, this is.
Yeah. So the Dallas was able to, on was this a last-second field goal? They were able to triumph a 56-yarder?
56-yarder by Zerline.
By Greg the Leg to win the game 22-17. So given that the Cowboys essentially played for the field goal, Jay, should we be concerned about the Cowboys playing for the field goal?
Oh, yeah. Their offense was not – it wasn't what we saw against Tampa Bay, which is, of course, the reason why I complained, because I had played Dak Prescott thinking I was going to get the same Dak Prescott that he played that Thursday night. He had a whole bunch of extra days for this game to prepare for. But no, 23 for 27, 237, and an interception. He didn't even throw a touchdown. That's not good. Now, the one thing I will give mad props to this Cowboys team is their defense is way better than I expected. And they're getting even better. Trayvon Diggs, Oh, he's going to be a star.
Lethal.
He's going to be a top 10 corner maybe by the end of the season. He's ridiculous. The way that he played Evans and then the way that he just shadowed Keenan Allen. They might have something here. You know, Keenan Allen had 4 catches for 108.
Is that what he had?
Yeah, I still think that Diggs is something special.
Let's see, I can find. Yeah, 8 targets, so 50% completion to him. Yeah, 4 for 108. Okay.
Yeah, so they did a good job of trying to contain him. I mean, at 108, it's not something you can stop. And then Justin Herbert, of course, just ate that defense alive. But they still could only muster 17 points, which is a big deal. That's a big enough deal in itself. I mean, he threw for 338, a touchdown and 2 picks. So they got 2 turnovers. So they got the bakery going. That's what you want. You want your defense to get turnovers like that. And I think the Cowboys are up there in turnovers this season. They've actually done a really good job of forcing turnovers. And that's what you want out of this team. So the defense is doing something that I didn't expect them to do. The offense, of course, did not show up the way I expected them to, which hurts me this week in my fantasy league, which is really why I'm really upset about it. But I'm going to get off that soapbox. There should be probably a little bit of concern about the fact that they couldn't move against the Chargers.
Now, Cowboys fans, what I typically do is always try to tell you the truth about your team. And usually the reason why I do that, just outside of the fact of telling you what I see, is to help you to be grounded, to stay with your feet planted on the earth instead of believing, like I always say, that your team's going to go 17-0 and you're going to win the Super Bowl 75-0. So I always tell the truth about this team from what I see. This is one of the best games this Dallas Cowboys team has played in a long time. This is one of the best wins this Dallas Cowboys team has had in a long time.
Word? We doing that?
Are we doing that? Here's the reasons why. First reason, we already mentioned this. They won despite mismanagement by their coaching. Mike McCarthy, in very Mike McCarthy-ish fashion, no one was surprised by this at the fact that because of his, I guess, failure to adapt to difficult circumstances in the waning moments, forcing Greg the Leg to, I guess if he had not made the field goal, it still would have been tied, so you might have had a chance in overtime, but forcing them into a 56-yard field goal, which no team wants to do. No coach wants to do that to their team if they can avoid it. But despite that, they still found a way to nail the field goal, win this game. You're on the road. Second thing, you're on the road. Even though this was more of a kind of a home road sort of hybrid for the Cowboys, it's still not.
Yeah, it did feel like a home-ish
because they have a lot of fans. Because in Oxnard, California, is not too far away from where they train during training camp.
That's true.
So, but still a road game, still with fans, lots of them against you, and they were able to win that game.
Chargers don't have real fans.
Yep. And you already mentioned this, holding a real Pro Bowl offense to 17 points, where the quarterback has over 338 yards, where Keenan Allen and Mike Williams eat, fairly decently, where the run game was 5.0 yards a carry, but you still found a way. That's called a bend but don't break performance. And you can win a lot of football games like that in the NFL when you're forcing 3s instead of 7s, instead of allowing 7s.
That's true.
So your defense played a real Pro Bowl defense and showed just exactly how good they could potentially be. Matter of fact, in this game, since they don't have Tank Lawrence for the next 2 months, they slid Micah Parsons into the defensive end position.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his stats, but just the fact that he's good enough in his second professional regular season game to slide down to defensive end, to me, is impressive.
He had 8 pressures. But the thing about it is, I think he played defensive end in like high school.
Did he?
I think at little portions of college he experimented with it. So when they asked him about it, he said, "Oh yeah, it was natural. It's a natural fit for me."
He's just a defensive weapon.
He's ridiculous
because he even has coverage skills outside of guarding a team's number 1 receiver on the outside. He can do just about anything on the field. So again, that's a huge part of the reason why they were able to hold this offense to 17 points. Second thing, you relied on the run. Dallas wins more games when they rely on the run. As a matter of fact, you should have established for yourself the fact that Tony Pollard can be the lightning to Zeke's thunder. Because in this game, probably Tony Pollard's one of his best games as a Cowboy. Let's see, 13 carries for 109 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
They had no answer for him.
Zero. What is your answer to stopping somebody just run? Now, and that's my complaint about them only scoring 20 points in this game. They obviously could run the ball well. Tony Pollard scored the first touchdown. Zeke scored the second one. So they were able to get runs in. Why weren't you doing more of that?
Still, this is the recipe, like how they do in Cleveland, how you have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb,
right?
And you design more of the game plan around. And we know that Dak can throw for 450 yards, but when he has to do that, it's usually not a good situation,
right?
So that leads to
at the same time, though, man, you've got some ridiculous set of wide receivers in Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz. I mean,
But for a quarterback who dealt with the shoulder issue in training camp, having him throw 27 times, that's a W. Now, I understand for fantasy purposes and the fact that he didn't throw for any touchdowns, that does suck, especially the game that he had against the Buccaneers.
Correct.
But long term, if you got Dak throwing 27 times instead of 57 times and you win the game, that's a much bigger W than it looks in the stat sheet. And when he did throw those 27 times, he had 7 different wide receivers.
He did.
So a big part of what that means is that it was a well-rounded scheme. The play calling was well-rounded. It didn't just focus on CeeDee Lamb, who's becoming a star, or Amari Cooper, who's a really, really good, really solid wide receiver. So he's spreading the ball around. That's good. And that's one of the things I love about Dak. He doesn't necessarily key in on one receiver. Most games he doesn't. He spreads it around. So
and that was kind of like the beef I think that Dad's kind of had with him a little bit. It's like, dude, just throw me the ball.
And then they got him out of town.
Yeah, and there's a few times, though, he should have thrown that ball.
So all that combined, they can do all these things moving forward. Your defense can continue to improve because you have 2 stars already. Trayvon Diggs is going to be a star. You're right. And Micah Parsons is going to be a star as well. You get Tank Lawrence back, who's a good edge rusher when he's motivated. Then you have every level of your defense has a great player or potentially great player. So
that is true.
Yeah.
That would be at all 3 levels.
Right. So Cowboys fans should wake up feeling really good today, feeling really comfortable because you see some recipes in here for sustained success over these next 15 games. So I love this win for the Cowboys.
You were up 14-3 in the first quarter, and then you just didn't do anything into the fourth when you got 2 field goals.
That's okay.
That's concerning to me. You scored in your first 2 possessions basically, and you couldn't score anymore.
So you said they went up 14-3 in
the first quarter.
In the first quarter?
Yes.
Okay.
Zeke ended the first quarter with the touchdown.
So they end the game, 6-14, but still managed to win the game. Okay. I understand. They didn't blow up the stat sheet. This was an ugly win. This was the Cowboys don't like to win this way because it doesn't look good. But I'm telling you, that's exactly what they need. They need to win more games like this because in the playoffs, you're going to have more games like this.
You're right? I'll give you that portion of it. I'm still concerned that the offense looks like it's not getting itself up and running. I said, they ran the ball great in the beginning. Yeah. They should have just kept pounding away and then going over the top because you have such great receivers. Now, I understand the secondary for the Chargers pretty good. You know, Chris Harris Jr. I can't think of the other guy on the other side off the top of my head. I have to look that up. But they've got,
Who Chargers defense?
Yes.
I mean, you got Bosa, you got Derwin James Jr., who's back and healthy, one of the best safeties in the game. Yep.
You got
K. Murray.
Yep. Yeah, Kenneth Murray. You got Chris Harris Jr. Their defense is not bad. They got a little age to them, but they're still young.
Mm-hmm. But
I expected Dallas to actually. I expected this game to be a shootout. Because Dallas' defense is supposedly not very good. I think that was the thing that jumped out, like I said, the most to me is that their defense was actually a lot better.
Typically with Dallas, it is a shootout, but you want to be able to win games like this, and they won this game. Again, despite their coach being himself, they were still able to take all these positives that I outlined clearly and won this game.
Playing for a field goal because
so Cowboys Nation, don't listen to mute whenever he's talking and then just listen to me because I'm going to make you feel good about yourself. I'm going to make you feel good about your team. And then I'll probably tell you to shreds next week. But still, you have a lot to feel good about. So let them live, Jay. Let them feel good for one week before the bottom falls out. No? All right. Who is their next game? Do you know?
I don't. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'll let you have that. Cowboys fans, listen to him.
The Eagles.
Y'all are good. They're traveling to Philly too, aren't they?
Yeah. No, they got them at home.
They got them at the house? They got them at Cowboy Stadium?
That's going to be a bit of an ugly game, though. Hold on.
Ugly.
Yeah, 27. Oh, that's Monday night. That's a Monday night game.
Ooh.
Okay. It's going to be an ugly one, but you're going to win it.
Hey,
all right, Jay. We're going to bring back a game that we resurrected, that you resurrected last week.
I guess we could call it a game.
Yeah.
One word.
What would you call it if not a game?
Segment. We'll bring that segment back.
One word. Had a lot of fun doing it, so we're going to bring it back. Might become a staple of the show. We will see. But before we do that, let me recap my Frozen 5. It was mine this week. All right. So I went 2-3. Some ugly, some good, some bad. Here it is real quick. Let me start with my first two L's. First L, I had Miami plus 3.5 at home against Buffalo. And Tua, in somewhat Tua fashion, he struggles with injuries, got knocked out with a rib injury. Jacoby Brissett came in, acted like he had never played football before. I don't think it would have mattered. That Buffalo defense was a little bit more angry than I thought they were going to be from getting beat last week by the Steelers.
They were pissed.
And they took it out wholeheartedly on Miami, 35-0. No chance. It was disgusting. Won't happen again. I usually have one or two of these a season, so this is one of them. Got it out the way. Not going to let it happen again. Next game, had the Steelers minus 5.5. At home against the Raiders, who had that impressive game. Baltimore has been in some really fun games these first 2 weeks. And they were minus 5.5 favorite at home and lost the game 26-17. I don't know why they lost this game. I know Derek Carr had another really good game and finally connected with Henry Ruggs.
430-something yards passed.
He got up to 400 again? I thought it was 300.
I'm kidding.
It was
I'm
close.
kidding.
Might as well have been. Wouldn't matter.
382.
For some reason, I think that I know Najee Harris had a good game. I think Ben Roethlisberger is somehow responsible for oh, no, what it was. TJ Watt got injured in the first quarter. Yeah. And that was... it shows you how much of a leader he is on that team and how much he affects the morale because after that, they just really had no juice. They had no life.
Got to play football.
Forgot to play football, yeah. So those are my first two L's. Let me give you my two W's. First W, I had Carolina plus 3 at home against the New Orleans Saints. I knew somewhat bad Jameis was going to show up. They had COVID. All those offensive coaches got knocked out, and you're on the road. It was just the recipe for easy money, and that's exactly what it was.
Easy money sniper.
Carolina won 26-7, so we got the easy victory there. My next victory, also easy. Saw this one coming a mile away. Had the Denver Broncos minus 6 at Jacksonville with rookie quarterback Trevor Lawrence, and I knew that he was going to look like a rookie. 14 of 33 in this game and had 2 picks, which is exactly what I thought was going to happen. That Broncos defense showed him things he has not seen before that Clemson cannot prepare you for. And on top of that, Teddy Bridgewater, again, looking like a top 10 quarterback. I mean, I love it. What can you say? Teddy B, steady Teddy.
Steady Teddy.
Yep. Easy W. They win 23-13. And so it all came down to Arizona, Minnesota. I was 2-2. Arizona, Minnesota. Had Arizona minus 3.5. And Arizona wins the game, but wins it 34-33. Fails to cover. Those 2 picks by Kyler, as spectacular as he was in this game, throwing off platform 50 yards down the field. Those 2 interceptions were costly. Minnesota was also a team that was pissed off from losing last week to Cincinnati. And it was apparent early in this game that it was going to be a close one when our resident fantasy experts, the OSG, and you were on KJ Osborne for Minnesota, who he hit streaking down the field for like a 71-yard touchdown, which I saw while I was at the grocery store and almost threw my phone into some cornflakes, so that really pissed me off. But they do win the game, just didn't cover the 3.5. Now, here's why I'm really mad at myself, Jay. So I go 2-3. Early in the week, in my Frozen 5, I had the Pats minus 6 because Belichick versus a rookie quarterback. Thought myself out of that one. I had the Vikings initially. At that time, it was plus 4.5, but plus whatever. Thought myself out of that one because I thought to myself that defense is going to play much better and they're going to be really pissed off. But I just couldn't get over that performance by the Cardinals defense against Tennessee. I'm like, if you can do that to them, how can you not do that to Kirk Cousins? They didn't do it. And I had the Titans. They're one of my bonus picks. I had them initially in my top 5 because I knew that they had to at least play well in this game and compete. Because they cannot go down 0-2, especially after that performance. And they ended up winning the game 33-30. Took them out, put them in bonus picks because I thought Russ was going to thought he was going to cook them, and that they weren't going to be able to cover, but they did. So hats off to them, Tennessee fans. You got me there.
I mean, Russ did cook, but his defense got cooked too.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that a little bit later. So, good stuff. 2-3.
Yeah.
That puts us at 5-5 for the season. We are at 500.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad.
Yeah.
Means we're down about $10 total.
Yep.
If you go off of the juice, because I say the juice is at minus 110 the entire way. So make sure you check us out. OSG Report. I have my Frozen 5 this week as well. So just go ahead and you'll be listening to that later this week. All right, let's move into the game.
Yes. So one word performance. So Jay, one word this week is going to focus on performances, individual performances this week in week 2.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you the player, their performance, just sort of their basic stat line, and I want you to give me one word as far as your assessment of that performance or just what you thought of when you heard how they did. You ready?
Okay. Give it to me.
All right, first one. You'll like this one. Tom Brady, 24 of 36 for 276 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 picks in their 48-25 win over Atlanta.
Immortal. It's ridiculous. So this is the 4th regular season game in a row that he's had over 4 touchdowns, with the record is held by Peyton Manning at 5. So he will be going for the record, tie, and then taking that record from Peyton Manning. So
Hold on, what's the record again?
It's like 5 straight games with 4 touchdowns or more. He's going for that.
I mean, my God, what can you just, you know what? Easy. That's the way he made it look so easy.
Immortal, man. He doesn't age. That's
Right.
really all I got to say is he don't age.
It's like freaking
ridiculous.
Vandal Savage. All right. Up next, Zach Wilson, 19 of 33 for 210 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 4 picks in a 25-6 loss against New England.
Lemon booty. Pucker it up, buddy. No. I'm gonna have to say Rook. That's what I expect. Like you mentioned, you had the Patriots -6 in there. I would have jumped all over that one, specifically because Belichick is fantastic and masterful against rookie quarterbacks, regardless who they are, regardless where they're playing, regardless what the team looks like. If he's a rookie, Belichick's going to eat him alive.
And I'll tell you what it was. I was like, okay, well, but at the same time, Belichick has a rookie quarterback himself, and this Jets defense looked decent, so I could see them losing by about 5 or 6, so that's why I moved off of it. But it did not matter at all. The defense was just that prepared, and just Zach Wilson didn't know what he was seeing ghost. Must be a New York Jets quarterback thing. All right, up next,
I hate you.
Derrick Henry, 35 carries, 182 yards, 3 touchdowns, including 6 catches for 55 yards in their 33-30 win in Seattle.
Bulldozer. At the end of the game, he just started trucking and running. But I was impressed with that big run he made when he basically cut and just started just whoosh, and it just dipping. And I guess the funny part about that is that what do you do when you see a massive freight train like that running your direction and then you see it just outrun you? Like, what do? You say, oh, it's a big train. I'm going to catch it and jump on its back. Say, wait a minute. No, it's going too fast. Slow down. Wait for me. Wait. That's what it felt like. It's like you weren't going to catch it.
He has like the most deceptive speed I've ever seen as a running back.
At that size. Yeah.
Like, when you watch him, it's certain guys who pop, their speed pops on television. Like, Barry Sanders, Tyreek Hill, whoever it is. When you see him, you're like, why can they not catch him?
And
he's not running fast, but he's just gliding away from him.
Like he's running in sand.
Exactly. So, oh my goodness. I have him in a couple of fantasy leagues, and I smashed those leagues, obviously.
I hate you.
Man, Derrick Henry.
Yeah, the $1 million person won in FanDuel.
Is that what it
Derrick
was?
Henry running back. 50 points.
Ugh.
Obscene on
All right,
Kings.
up next, my 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo. 22 of 30 for 189 yards and 1 touchdown in a 17-11 win at Philadelphia.
Okay. Jimmy looked like he was managing the team well. I mean, it was 17-11, so it wasn't that good of a score, but he did enough to get the W. Mm-hmm. Then he lost. I mean, he lost another running back. Didn't want to run back.
He's already lost one, and he might possibly lose 2 more.
Well, yeah, right. So like Trey Sermon, I saw the Trey Sermon hit. Good God, I pray for that man. That was a nasty shot.
I didn't see the hit, but I was actually watching that game because it was on Fox.
Yeah.
I didn't see the hit, but I saw him laying down. I was like, oh.
I actually was tuning in. I was at my son's soccer game, and I tuned into Red Zone, and they went to that game. They showed the run. He went up that middle, and bow, I saw him hit and just collapse. I was like,
yeah,
it was bad.
Yeah, with Jimmy Garoppolo, I always look at 2 things. 1, is he healthy at the end of the game? And 2, did he throw any picks? So he didn't. There were a couple of near ones, but that's to be expected.
Just the fact that it took him 30 passes to get to 189 concerns me.
Right,
But that's Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, I mean,
we expected that.
Check downs, dump offs, things like that.
Right.
But this was an ugly win. It was kind of ugly. It was uglier than the Dallas Cowboys win against the Chargers.
Oh, much uglier.
Yeah, ugly win, but you're going to have to win some games like this. So I liked it. Again, I don't feel like Trey Lance is ready to play. So I'm glad that he's in there. I'm glad that they're 2-0 with him. It's not going to last forever. Obviously, they're not going 17-0, and eventually he will get in there. But still, you got to win ugly games like that. Next one, Baker Mayfield. Am I reading this correctly? 19 of 21 for 213 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick in their 31-21 win over Houston.
Baker. That's numbers you'd expect out of Baker. 19 for 21. That's accuracy.
Yep.
That's ridiculous accuracy. That's what you would expect out of a game from Baker Mayfield.
Do you have that pulled up? I don't know if I read that correctly.
No, it's 19 for 21, 213.
That's like a 94% completion percentage.
Exactly. That is Baker Mayfield. and honestly, that was his platform coming into the league. That was the one thing everyone said, that if anything Baker's going to do, he's going to be accurate. But you can look across the table, his competition, Tyrod Taylor, 10 for 11, 125.
And then went out of the game.
And then got hurt.
If Tyrod would have stayed in that game, do you think Houston had a chance to win that? Because they were ready to play. They competed. But
I don't think they were going to end up winning it. I think it's going to be closer. I think it would have been a one score game. I don't think it would have been 31-21. So, yeah, Davis Mills going out there, that young buck, he was 8 for 18, and that kind of basically took away from him.
I've got him in a dynasty league, so I'm hoping he's better than that, because they play this Thursday night against the Carolina Panthers.
Ooh.
So we'll get to see Davis Mills be able to see him up close. All right, last one. Roquan Smith, linebacker for Chicago. 8 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, and 1 touchdown in a 20-17 win over the Cincinnati Bengals.
Finally! Isn't that his first career touchdown? I think that was his first career defensive touchdown. We all expected a lot out of Roquan Smith. We thought he was going to be the next Urlacher immediately. And it's been a slow transition to him taking basically that mantle. But that's what I thought. That's what I thought about him coming into the league. I thought that he was going to be that type of a monster. And the good thing is he gave us that this game. He showed up defensively.
Yeah. I almost he's my linebacker in our fantasy league. I almost dropped him for a couple of other players that I really liked going into this week. And I'm very glad I didn't, because he single-handedly might have helped to put me over the top to win. We'll see how tonight goes. But yeah, that's a ridiculous stat line. And maybe, like you're talking about, he is moving closer into being that next great linebacker for the Bears in the spirit of Mike Singletary, of Urlacher, Lance Briggs, just those types of guys.
Right. Yeah. And
Butkus.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Coming out of Georgia, we saw him being a monster coming in here and thought, oh, linebackers, they'll be just fine. And then he wasn't bad. Just more so it was kind of like, meh. He was an NFL linebacker. Yeah. Nothing special. We expected more special out of him. So, yeah, this was his first career touchdown, and I'm glad that he finally got it.
Me too.
So it's time to wrap this bad boy up, put a bow on it. Again, thank you for checking us out here on the YouTubes. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Why? Because sharing is caring. So the only way we're going to get this bad boy growing is with you, the people. Also, leave a comment. Let us know what you think, because you probably hate something we said, and that's fine. That's the beauty of sports. No, you
as well. They love me.
Your kind, you people.
Well, we'll say by love, I mean they hate me less than they hate you.
I don't.
When I read the comments,
possible.
When I read the comments on our YouTube,
I don't think that's possible.
They hate me more.
Actually, no, you're right. They actually do hate me more, and I'm fine with that.
It might just be Tennessee, which they shouldn't, because you're a Vols fan. So it's just.
And I went to a Titans game.
And he went to a Titans game.
Yeah, just tell y'all know this. Titans fans hate me. But anyway, let's move on into the finale. Let's talk college football. Being Oklahomans and putting out the ridiculous prediction that the Oklahoma Sooners were going to vow for a national championship. We got to witness the Oklahoma Sooners play against the Nebraska Cornhuskers on the anniversary of the game of the century from 50 years ago. Skip Bayless actually wrote an article about that for Fox Sports. He kind of outlined being at that game or something like that.
He's that old?
He's old. God, did not realize it.
He's a vampire. That's what it is.
Yeah, something like that. I think he's like 115 years old, something like that.
Yep.
But anyway, on the eve of the anniversary of the game of the century, the 50-year anniversary, it is 1971. Good Lord. Well, if you think about it, 71, that's not that far away.
Fair enough.
Think about it. But anyway, he's in college at Vanderbilt. But anyway, Beer Mustache Bull. Oklahoma went out there and they won this game 23-16. They were favored 21.5 points. 21.5 points. And they won the game by 7. Now, we did get one highlight out of this game, which may have been the interception of the century by DJ Graham, which is ridiculous. He caught it one-handed. He tucked rolled midair and landed on his back with the ball cradled like a baby, like it was just safely held. I was totally impressed with that. But the Sooners let Nebraska, with Scott Frost's team, actually keep up with them. Spencer Rattler looked like the Spencer Rattler we expected. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised he did not get a turnover, but even though he was trying to turn the ball over, Jimmy, is it time to hit the panic button for the Sooners?
Jay, I hit the panic button 2 weeks ago against Tulane.
You really did.
I guess I got to do it again.
Hit it again.
Yes. And see, and I figured out why. The reason why is with any team that is expected to compete for a championship, there has to be something about you that teams fear.
Yeah.
Right. It can be a player. It can be scheme. Something about you has to be feared by the other team, because that way you walk into every game with a mental advantage. And then once the team gets down by a few points, then they mail it in. Morale is gone. This is going to happen anyway. We knew it. So yeah, the problem with OU, as far as I see it, and I know there are a lot of problems with OU, and other people have, I guess, maybe a more nuanced perspective. But just from what I've seen, they don't have any players that instill fear in the opposition. Like even Spencer Rattler, we know he's good. We know he could potentially be the number one pick. But the same type of fear that K1 or Baker or even Hurts would instill in the opposition and beat them before the game even started, he just doesn't have that. Because part of what they expect, part of what the defense expects, is for him to gift them at least 2 turnovers, right? That instills confidence. That instills excitement. They're talking about who's going to have the turnover chain once we turn him over. That's what that is. So they don't instill fear. And you see this in the NFL too. One thing that I noticed, I'll mention Bill Belichick here, is whenever they win a championship and they have that ceremony and they erect the stage and all that, he always gives it up to the players first.
Right.
And the reason why he does that is because he knows that no matter what level of coaching you're at, no matter what your scheme is, if you don't have the players, if you don't have players that, and I'm not saying that OU players are bad or anything like that, but as far as, again, going back to fear, if you don't have players that really instill fear in the opposition at that time, it's going to be harder for you to win. You can win, but you're not going to win by 30 and 40 points like we expected this team to do. So it goes to show you that this version of the team, as far as the players, may not be quite what we're used to with what we've seen over the last 5 to 7 years and beyond that. So I see those two things combined as being a big part of the reason why Nebraska came into this game believing that they could win and staying in it. And I didn't see it towards the end, but did they have a chance to actually – okay, so they had a chance to win the game. That's what this was in my opinion.
Nebraska walked into this game thinking they was going to win this game.
There you go.
And this is the funny part. You say – that there's nothing about the OU team that puts fear into you as soon as you get there. Currently. Nebraska is so bad. They got like 4 straight false starts against a defensive front at OU that's not intimidating. Yeah, they started the game off getting false starts. Now, they ended the game with only 8 penalties, 70 yards. But no, real talk. They literally kept getting false starts. I'm just like, what are you afraid of? Why are you jumping? Where's the discipline here? This is going to get Frosty fired. Should be the game that gets the man fired, because they could have won this game against the number 3 team in the country and propelled themselves back into, I guess, something. I don't know.
Respectability?
Yeah, there you go. We'll say respectability because of that Illinois loss that they took. And yeah, anyway, Nebraska, that's how bad they were. They had opportunities to do this. Oklahoma is just, like I said, I don't know what it is about the last 20 years of Oklahoma coaching where it doesn't feel like we ever can put the gas down and just blow certain teams out that we need to just blow out the water. It just doesn't happen. And this is one of those games where you're a 21.5 point favorite. This score should be 63-16, not 23-16. There was no big plays, really. Nothing that just jumps out like, oh, the best thing we got was DJ Graham getting that interception, which, to be honest, was actually a really bad interception. Like, you should not have intercepted the ball at that point, because when he intercepted that ball, it was 4th down. Instead of OU getting the ball at like the 20-something, they got it at the 2. And then they had to punt it And Nebraska had a chance to win the game or at least tie the game. So it took away from the flair of that by getting an interception at the wrong time.
This game doesn't make sense. Look, OU had 194 yards on the ground, 5.5 yard average, right? So you control in the run, you control time of possession, you control the flow of the game. Nebraska, 38 carries, 95 yards, 2.5 yards a carry. How were they in this game if they got dominated in the run?
Martinez out there just throwing dimes.
19 to 25, 289. I see.
Dropping dimes. Baby Dame Dollar. He's out there just dropping dimes, dog. It's bad. It's like every play he completed, I'm just like, why is he open?
So then a big part of the issue is in the secondary. I mean, despite this fantastic interception that we saw, a big part of the issue is in the secondary.
Well, they were missing 2 corners. So okay. I'll say that.
Okay.
The 2 starting corners were out, and so that could throw things off, but at the same time, Nebraska's booty. And they've shown us Frosty has been really bad at Nebraska.
Okay, so let me make an excuse for OU. Let's say that.
No, you know what no excuses are, right? They're tools of incompetence used by monuments and nothingness. Those who specialize in using them seldom amount to anything.
Yeah.
Excuses, big brother. Excuses. We don't give them excuses. There's no excuse for this. They should have blown them out. And this, like I said, the biggest thing is what worries me is now we're starting to get into the meat of the schedule. We're starting to Big 12 play.
Yeah. What
is Oklahoma going to look like? Let me give you these games. And I want you to tell me what you feel your confidence level in these next 2 games. You ready? West Virginia coming to the house.
They won't be intimidated.
Traveling to Kansas State, who's number 25 in the country right now. And undefeated.
Will not be intimidated. They love playing OU.
Red River Shootout.
I don't know what Texas looks like. I know they put in, was it Casey Thompson, who has local ties in a sense. I don't know what they look like. I was actually trying to watch that game, and it was on the Longhorn Network. But did they win?
I hope so.
Okay, well, but Texas, I mean, they always get up for the game. And that's part of what I was getting ready to just say as far as the excuse. Like,
yeah, Texas won. They won that game.
On one hand, you know that when OU's on the schedule, that's like a Super Bowl for most of these teams. So they're going to get their best game. They're going to get the best game plan. They're going to get the best effort from those players. And I know what you're saying, but even despite that, OU is supposed to be so good that none of that matters. They should be so used to that none of that matters.
That is the problem. That should not have mattered. OU should have destroyed Nebraska in that game, and so we didn't get that. And so that's just 4, and then you've got TCU coming to the house. Gary's always got Oklahoma's number. He's known for it. But then they travel to Kansas, which I don't even think they're a real football team.
So what they need to do is they need to smash the living hell out of West Virginia
at night, 6:30 p.m. on ABC
to send a message.
You gotta send a message. If you don't send a message in this game,
message is gonna get sent to you. Yep.
And you dropping in the rankings. Okay, last game before we wrap it up. Alabama, Florida. I know you watched that game.
I did. I was able to see this game.
I sat down and watched that whole game. Let me ask you this question. Like, I know somebody that listens that's a big Alabama fan.
Okay.
He's going to be mad at me tomorrow after he listens to the episode because of the blasphemy that's coming out of my mouth. Jamie? Is Bama mortal now? Did we just find out that Alabama's mortal?
Yes.
Because Florida... I mean, if they could, that 2-point conversion at the end of the game, if they would have got that, it's a tie game. We're going into overtime. Alabama looked kind of mortal against them at the end. It was like Alabama jumped out, and then they just let them chip away. You know what makes me think about, even though that game wasn't as close as the box score showed, was Alabama OU in the playoff with Kyler Murray at quarterback. The offense failed OU that game because the defense did its job. The defense tried. The offense kept giving the ball back. And then the offense started getting going, and they started to chip away at that lead, but it was, of course, too late. Like, it was the one problem we saw with OU is that come the third quarter, the offense randomly starts to play really good, and all of a sudden they start scoring a lot, and the defense starts shutting down everything, and they keep scoring, and more so because Alabama didn't put their foot on the gas, even though they might have, and they just couldn't win. Alabama let Florida come all the way back. I did not expect Florida to. Alabama was a 14-point favorite in this game. What happened? What happened?
You know, when I look at this Alabama team, and it's funny. I hate to sound like a broken record, but what I was just saying about OU, I think you might be able to say about this Alabama team that there is no player right now that puts fear into the heart of the opposition.
Yeah, I can see that.
That doesn't scare anybody. Actually, and it's kind of the reverse with OU. Okay, so there's no fear and intimidation, which the Alabama brand itself and Nick Saban on the sidelines is usually enough.
Yep.
But what I think Florida figured out is that they could be just as physical as
human.
this team. That
they're just as human as we
right,
are.
They bleed.
They bleed.
Yes,
they bleed
exactly.
like us.
Yeah. So when you look at the run game, and this you never see this in an Alabama game. Alabama averaged 3.3 yards a carry, 91 total rushing yards in this game. Florida, 5.7 yards a carry, 245 rushing yards
on the ground.
Nobody does that to Alabama
ever. They literally just ran. It felt like they could just do what they wanted to on the run game, and it was one of those that it's smash mouth football, and that hurts against a team like Alabama where you're basically keeping them off the field. I mean, time of possession was close, 31-28. But it felt like Florida always had the ball.
I mean, and Florida's a good team, right? They're ranked number 11, so they're supposed to be a very good team if you go by the rankings.
They ranked a little bit higher, but yeah, they're ranked number 11 now, in which I think they gave them some grace because their first loss at home versus the number one team in the country.
But you know what, Jay? What this sets up for with college football, if we start to see some more games like this from Alabama or more games like this from OU, what it shows you is that this year might be a bit more wide open than people think, because after this week, who can legitimately say that team, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is the best team in college football? Now, I know people will still pick Alabama. They're still going to be number one in the rankings. Of course. But as far as what people see, what they feel, normally you feel it when you know Alabama's number one. This is not going to be the case after week 3. So this may be the year where you see some type of team getting into the playoff and potentially winning, or at least getting to the championship game that we're not used to seeing there.
Yeah, it's true. And I think that Alabama's going to have a nice little road in front of them. They got Southern Miss, which isn't going to be anything of anything.
They always do this.
They got Ole Miss at home, and then they travel to A&M. Now, I mentioned this in the preview that I thought that 3 teams had a chance to knock them off this year. Miami, which showed us no. Florida had it, but they just couldn't finalize it. A&M on the road. That probably will be the toughest game they play this season outside of the Iron Bowl against Auburn that closed the season out.
Right.
We might see that one-loss Alabama team this year. And I think, to be honest, I think it might be because of Bryce Young. I think that he did well in the game. Like, he had no turnovers. I mean, he looked like a solid quarterback, but at the same time,
243 touchdowns.
Yeah. Which, I mean, 243 touchdowns. That's pretty good, right? You would think.
I just saying, but
there's something about it.
Something was missing.
Yeah, there was something missing. There was something missing to that stat line. Either it's the wide receivers just could not get separation, and they're not as good as the Waddles and the Smiths. Well, who won Heisman, so I can totally understand them not being as good. But it did not feel the same. And so, as Saban mentioned, they have to avoid being ordinary. And I think right now, they're ordinary. Eventually, they'll get past it, but right now, they're ordinary.
True.
So we have to get out of it. So, our editing room floor, Jimmy.
Our editing room floor, USA Basketball is apparently going to replace Greg Popovich as the coach of the team.
Damn. Already?
Yeah, as you know, already. As you know now, Grant Hill he's in the Jerry Colangelo role. He's the executive that essentially is going to run the team. So he's got to, or is choosing to, find a different coach for whatever reason. There were a lot of critics to the performances of the USA basketball team, which may have had a factor in this, but there are some candidates who have coaching experience, both NBA level and in USA basketball, like Steve Kerr, who I think is probably the front runner. I think he'd be really good. You have Nate McMillan. There's a list of about 3 or 4 others that could potentially replace him. You got a favorite?
I don't, but this is very interesting.
Yeah.
I think I may know why Grant Hill decided to get rid of this man.
Okay, why?
I mean, Popovich is the reason why Tim Duncan didn't come play with Orlando in 2000. That might be a reason why you would be like, you know what, Coach Pop?
Payback. We're
Gucci. We're going to go ahead and let you go. Yeah. Well, but Greg, I mean, I think we want to go. We did want to go, and we appreciate your contribution. Goodbye. Yeah. No, I think it's weird, but at the same time, like I said, I mean, could that have something to do with the 2000? Because I mean, could you imagine Grant Hill, Tim Duncan, and Tracy McGrady on the same roster?
Unfair.
Almost happened.
Unfair.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So up next, Hard Knocks, the award-winning HBO show that features a team in the NFL in the offseason. This year was the Dallas Cowboys. For the first time, is going to feature a team in season. This year, I don't know exactly when, but they will feature the Indianapolis Colts. So what do you think about that? The idea of doing Hard Knocks, but in season.
Yeah, it was. I think the NFL Network did a show like that on like Amazon Prime or something like that.
It's like called All In or All or Nothing or something
like that. Yeah, and so they've done this before, but now Hard Knocks saw how successful that was or how good of an idea it is. And they're like, you know what? Do that shit.
I think I know what it is. I think that even though they featured the Cowboys, the ratings still were not what they wanted them to be.
Oh no, because it was boring.
I'll
be honest, I watched them all. I haven't watched the last one yet.
I didn't watch them all.
I was bored.
It
wasn't as entertaining as I thought, and I think it was more so because of the COVID stuff. They had a few days where they couldn't really practice. Yeah. I mean, Diggs was probably him and his son were the most entertaining part about the entire
when he met Dak Prescott.
Yeah. Oh yeah, before that, that he was really entertaining in the first couple episodes, and then adding the Dak Prescott episode, was fun.
Teams on Hard Knocks, teams don't want to give anything. Don't want to give anything away. They don't want to look bad. They don't want to ruin the brand, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for some stuff like you would have seen in Playmakers.
Drama. Yeah, a little drama.
Yeah, and I'm still planning on watching that. Plan on watching that tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
You still got my DVD, don't you?
I do. How long has it been?
The first season.
Yeah.
I got the other ones from you. Can you always just bring that back? Because you've had it for about 10 years.
I was going to say like 7 years.
No, it's 10.
But I plan on watching
Actually, it's longer than that.
Longer than that?
Yeah. I've been living here 7, and I gave it to you at my old house.
Yeah.
And I lived there. I hate you. What else?
All right. Lastly, so not really a news story, but tonight we have Mr. RELAX himself, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers taking on the Detroit Lions. I don't know where the game's being played. Is it in Detroit? I believe it's in Detroit. Monday Night Football. So off of that 38-3, just sorry excuse for a football performance that the Packers gave.
No, they're in Green Bay.
In Green Bay. All right. How do you see this game playing out?
Green Bay's going to blow them out. They're going to beat them. They're 11.5 point favorites, which is pretty absurd, but they should beat them like 43-3.
Over under on Jared Goff touchdown passes, 1.5.
You know what? I'm feeling froggy. I'm going under.
Going under? I
thought
you were going to go over.
No touchdowns.
Jared Goff's not going to have a single touchdown pass? Bull crap.
I say 1.
1?
So you said 1.5, so I'm saying 1. I say no more than 1. I actually don't think he throws a touchdown in this game.
$5? $5 says you want to take 1 or 2?
You said 1.5. I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the over. $5?
$5. Let's go.
Let's go.
See that in America.
Yep. Get paid.
Get paid on that.
Buy me a pack
Is
of
that
gum.
it? Is it? Pack of gum. Oh, well, we appreciate y'all as usual here on Unfair Sports. Thank you for checking us out on our YouTube page, as well as wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. Of course, while you're there, make sure you rate us, review us, and give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Man, just give us 5 anyway. Gifted. So, for Mike, Bob, and Wendy, thank you so much for doing your thing back there with the production. For my co-host, Jimmy. We'll have the OSG Fantasy Report this week again, of course. The OSG pulls up. We talk fantasy. Damn good time. So make sure y'all tune in, check that out. That YouTube video will be up. Chop up the dope, and I'll have my Frozen 5 ready for you this week. We're going back for another winning week.
We should have done early lines. Yeah, we should. Yeah, exactly. Should have done early lines.
We'll keep that going. We have time for good old $7 challenges coming soon. So we'll make sure we have that. But no, I'll have Frozen 5. We need some money. I won some money, like I said, in fantasy. You can too. So join us. So with that, we'll chop up in a few days.
Peace.